Have you ever gone out to see a cover band somewhere and they're sounding pretty good and you're having a pretty good time, and then all of a sudden, bam, the guitar player just absolutely butchers some one of the songs? I don't know about you, but for me, that kind of kills the vibe for the whole rest of the evening. Let me tell you a story. A while back, my wife and I decided we wanted to hear some live music, so we went out to see a local cover band. Now, these guys had a really pretty good reputation, and they had a female singer. She was awesome. Female keyboard player, great voice on her. Their harmonies together were amazing. Bass player was solid, drummer was solid, but the guitar player, he played some stuff okay, but he absolutely butchered a lot of stuff. And today we're going to talk about how he butchered one particular song, as you probably guessed from the title, Any Way You Want It from Journey. So let me grab a guitar and I will play for you what this guy was doing, and you'll understand why it got under my skin so much. Or at least I think you will. Whoa, so wait a minute. Am I saying that every cover band should do every song exactly like the recording? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is don't play chords and notes that are so far out of key that they clash with what the vocalist is doing, with what the rest of the band members are doing. That's what I'm saying. And that's what we're going to do in this video, is I'm going to show you what cover band guy could have done differently. I'm going to play it wrong like he did. And then I'm going to show you what's on the recording. And then I'm going to show you some variations that cover band guy could have done where it would have sounded okay. It would have sounded pretty good, actually. We're also going to talk about the guitar solo and mostly what not to do. I'm not going to show you note for note how to play this particular solo, but I will show you what this guy did, and we'll talk about what he could have done differently. If you don't want to play a solo because it's above your skill level or you just don't like it for whatever reason, I'm going to give you some tips that you could use where you'll come away playing something that sounds really pretty good, even if it's way different than what's on the record, but it'll sound good enough that nobody's going to walk out of there going, man, that guy's a hack. So I've thrown some tracks together here. I can't sing like Steve Perry, so instead of vocal lines, I just threw some harmony guitars on there to represent the vocal lines, and then when the verse kicks in, I'm doing the melody on a guitar, but you'll get the idea. First thing we're going to do is play it the way this guy played it incorrectly, and let's see. You can leave me a comment down below. Tell me if you can hear what I'm hearing and why it got under my skin so bad. Can you hear that? Am I being too fussy? Let me play it for you the right way, or close to what's on the original recording, so you can hear them back to back, and then we're going to talk a little bit more. I hope you could hear the difference there between the cover band version and what I'm calling the correct version. Part of the problem is that Neil Sean, through the intro and the verses, he's not playing full 6-string chords. And the guy in the cover band was. He was playing a full G chord and then an F sharp chord, followed by an E major chord. And those aren't the chords of the song. What I'm calling the chords of the song are actually implied chords and not necessarily what Neil played on the recording, which I'll show you what he did in just a couple of seconds. The chords are implied by what's being played on the guitar, what's being played on the bass, what's being played on the keyboard, and what the vocal line is doing. So the implied chords are G, D major, E minor 7th, all of which are chords found in the key of G major, which is the key that this song is in. Let me show you what Neil Sean does on the recording, and then we're going to talk about some things that cover band guy could have done differently that would have sounded way, way better than that stupid F sharp major chord that he was doing that was like ice picks in my ears. Here's what Neil is playing on the recording. We're just going to do the intro right now, and then we'll get to the verse and the chorus in just a second. So here's the intro. It's really simple. Okay, those are the three chords. The first chord is a G power chord, not the whole 6-string chord. All you're hitting is the G and the D on your E and A strings, fingered like this. Now for the second chord, you're going to leave your little finger right where it's at. All you're going to do is move your first finger down 1 fret, so you're on the 2nd fret on the E string. And now you've got an F sharp there, and still got a D here. So you have 2 notes that are within a D chord. So you hit that twice, and then you do an E power chord. That's all there is to it. So the intro is made up of those 3 chords and the riff. Here's the riff. That takes us into the verse. So for the verse, you can do exactly what you did in the intro and just add some chugging in between. That'd be passable. It wouldn't be what's on the record, but it would be passable. You could also do single notes, and that would be passable. It'd be all right. Again, it wouldn't be what's on the record, but you wouldn't be playing dissonant notes. Now here's what Neil is playing on the record. He comes out of that intro riff. Let's break that down. I've seen him do this live. That's how I know he's doing this. He comes out of that opening riff, and right there he hits an open G chord. But he doesn't catch all 6 strings. He's only catching some of the inside strings. He's using this fingering, which will come in handy as we make our way through the rest of the verse. In fact, the whole rest of the song. So anyway, we do that riff, we hit that chord, and then we've got some single note chugging on the low E string, that G note on the 3rd fret. And then we get a little pull off from the G to the 2nd fret before we hit that double punch on the D over F sharp. Then we have more single note chugging, and then another little pull off from the F sharp to the E before we hit the E chord. So all together it sounds like this. Right there, Neil changes up the way he does the whole rest of the song. He does an upstroke on that G chord, and he's catching these notes. It's very pronounced. You can hear it really well on the recording. So it sounds like this. That's enough about the intro and the verse. Let's talk about the chorus real quick, and then we're going to move on to the solo. As I mentioned, you could play this progression all the way through the chorus, and it would be just fine. On the recording, the keys come up, the keyboard player is playing much bigger chords, and you've got all the harmonies and everything that really lifts the chorus up. And the band that I was in, and yes, I was in a cover band once a million years ago, we didn't have a keyboard player. So during the chorus, I would play bigger chords. I would play a full G chord, and then for that D chord, I would play, I call this a C-shape bar chord. So I still had that F sharp in the bass, but then I had the rest of that chord in there, and then I would play an entire E minor 7. And then I'd go into the riff. So putting those big chords behind the vocal harmonies, we had 3 or 4 part harmony. I don't remember how many of us were singing back that long ago. But anyway, we had at least 3 part harmony, and we'd put those big chords behind it. And that really lifted up the chorus, and it made it sound really good. Well, one of the many times that I saw Journey, I noticed that Neil was doing something totally different than what I was doing. He was playing something like this. now you've got a variety of things you could do during the chorus. You could play the same thing you played during the verse. You could play those fuller chords that I was doing that were different than what Neal Schon does. You could play what Neal Schon does. You could do single notes. Just don't play an F sharp major chord for that second chord. All right, let's talk about the solo next. The guitar solo starts at the end of the chorus after the second verse, and it starts on top of what I call the closing phrase for the chorus. The solo starts on top of that. As I mentioned, the song is in the key of G major. Cover band guy treated the song like it was in the key of G minor. And he tried to use a pentatonic, or technically I guess it would be a hexatonic scale. It was like a pentatonic minor scale with the blue note added. I'll just say it plainly, what he played was ugly. Let me fire up the backing tracks and let's see if I could recreate what he did. Okay, I have to admit, that's really pretty close to what he played. And as you can hear, it is ugly. So what could cover band guy have done differently that would have been way less ugly? Well, there's a couple of things he could have done. The first thing would be play something very similar to what's on the record. I'll fire up the backing tracks and I will play for you something close to what I used to play years ago. Okay, so that's what I used to play. It's not note for note, but it's along the lines of what Neal Schon did on the recording, and it's along the lines of what he does live. He doesn't play the same solo note for note. It's really close, probably closer than what I did. But having seen Neal perform this on multiple occasions, I can tell you that he doesn't play it exactly the same every night. So take that for what you will. What else could cover band guy have done? Well, if he knew a little bit about music and understood what key the song is really in, he would know that E minor is the relative key to G major. It's the relative minor key. And if all he knew was how to play pentatonic stuff, he could have done a pentatonic, and when I say pentatonic, I mean a true pentatonic scale, only using 5 notes. He could have played a solo that, yeah, it wouldn't be anything like what's on the record, but it would still sound like it was in the right key. And just for grins, let's fire up the backing tracks and I'll see what I can do. In fact, I'm going to go one step farther and I'm going to say, what if a guy's so new he doesn't know how to bend a note, right? If you can't bend a note, you know your pentatonic scale in E minor, the relative minor key to G major, you could do something like this. Right? That sounded tasteful. Wasn't anything like the record, but it was simple enough that even an intermediate guitarist would have been able to do something along those lines. This is why knowing a little bit about music is important. And that's a subject for a whole nother video. But, you know, if you're going to be a working musician, you need to know a little bit about music and music theory. So what else? Let's say you're a guitar player and you know how to bend a note and you want to do something a little bit more adventurous on a pentatonic scale. Well, if you're going to add a 6th note, that's hard to say, 6th note. If you're going to add one more note to the pentatonic scale during your solo, the note to add would be C, not B flat, which would be the blues scale in E minor. You don't want to add that to your 5-note progression. Add a C, and then you might be able to come up with something, I don't know. Let's see what I can wing it and come up with. So there's a couple of examples of what you could do that would be different from the record, wouldn't require a ton of music theory or shredding skill or whatever, but it would sound better than that mess that cover band guy played. So what I'm saying is don't play in the wrong key, right? That's all I'm trying to get across here. You've got a lot of choices, and all you need to know is a little bit about music theory. Okay, let's go back to that F sharp chord for just a minute. During the chorus, he was letting that F sharp chord ring out, and it was terrible. It was like nails down a chalkboard. Anyway, let me give you a really obvious demonstration of why that F sharp chord doesn't work. So an F sharp is made up of 3 notes, right? Your F sharp major chord is an F sharp, an A sharp, and a C sharp. Over here, I'm playing the A sharp from that F sharp chord, and over here, I'm playing the melody note, which at that point in the chorus is an A. Ugly, right? Your 3rd note in an F sharp chord is a C sharp. Well, one of the harmony voices during the chorus is a D. So here's your C sharp, here's your D. Cacophony, right? I was hearing that so profoundly, I don't know why nobody else in the band could hear it and why they didn't call him out on it. All right. You get the idea that I really did not like the way those guys played this song. And the reason it got under my skin so much beyond the cacophony and the dissonance is that I've probably seen a dozen bands play the song this way using that F sharp chord and then trying to do some sort of a G minor pentatonic or G minor blues scale during the solo. And that's all I really want to get across here is that if you're going to play a cover song, please don't play wrong notes. Another thing I hope you picked up from this video is that if you know your relative minor key and you're playing a song that's in a major key, that you can do a pentatonic scale for your solo. You don't have to play a scale, you use those notes, but you can get away with a pentatonic scale for your solo. Just don't put that blue note in there or else it's going to sound ugly. You can do a lot of stuff with those 5 notes. The last tip I want to give you is a song-specific tip. It's for this song. Everybody, when they come out of the solo, they play this. They do 4 punches on a power chord. And what Neil plays is a C add 9. That's like that open G chord, only you've moved your first 2 fingers up a set of strings. That's it. So that's the chord he plays, and then he only hits it 3 times. And then he goes back to a G chord. So he comes out of the solo and he plays. So you can do it either way because they're both still in the right key. You can do the power chords or you can do the add 9 chord. I don't care. You do whichever way works for you. Just don't play a stupid F sharp. Just don't play a stupid F sharp chord there. All right, that's enough nonsense for one day. That's all I got for today. I will see you guys in the next video. Don't know what it's going to be about, but it will be guitar centric. And until then, you guys live well, rock hard, and be safe. I'll see ya.